It's been known, and almost a rule, that a tank engine is a tank engine, and a tender engine, well, is a tender engine. I, like many, believe this to be true in most steam locomotive applications, but then began to find myself bending the spoon, and essentially found myself obsessed with saddle tank and side tank engines that sported little tenders behind them. Now that I'm fully immersed in the live steam world, I see nothing but a benefit in having a tank engine with a tender. Don't get me wrong, I love a good tank engine without a tender, and will continue my bipolar obsession between both. But when water is everything and weight counts, one begins to ask themselves, tank engines with tenders? Why not? I guess my first experience came through LGB, little stands locomotives that sported both no tenders and with tenders. My obsession with plantation locomotives from an early age sealed the deal, for most little narrow-gauge plantation tank locomotives sported a little four-wheel tender behind them. You see, sugar cane was on a time limit from harvest, and the owners of these plantations had little time to have their crew and engineers stop for water and fuel, so bam, here we enter the fully functional tank engine with tenders. It's also good to note that a lot of restored Porter locomotives travel longer distances than what they were intended to on the original job sites. Here you can see Antelope and Western with her little four-wheel tender at Ardenwood carrying a fully loaded train of passengers. Ewa is personally one of my favorite saddle tank engines with a tender. There's something about her simplicity that's always caught my eye. I own a 3 3/4 scale plantation cornet porter named Butterpig, and too was hesitant in fabricating a little tender for her at first. It wasn't until my trip to American Flat Railroad where I realized I needed a better, simple braking system other than putting strain on my reverser. The gondolas I previously had behind the porter were great, but mounting a simple drum brake system on a swiveling truck and/or bogie was not working out well. Plus, I was adamant about keeping the siding closed, the one that's closest to the locomotive. Remember, she was not a tender engine, and the gondola was not a tender. I went home and stayed up all night with visions of brake shoes dancing through my head. And just like that, I decided it was time. It was time to release the Kraken. I was going to make a 12-wheel Vanderbilt Class A standard gauge tender. Never mind. Anyway, I planned on a simple boxy 4-wheel plantation-style tender. I was ready, and my cramped feet and legs were too. I began my process by searching various little tenders and decided to go simple box style with her. I couldn't be happier, and now more than ever, she's a joy to operate in comfort. What really got me going was John Hild's beautiful 042 locomotives. It's 042 plantation tank engines with tenders. I've been obsessed for going on 2 years now, and hope one day to buy one and bring one over to the States, but that's another adventure. For now, I'm pleased to say Butterpig has a little sister tender that I still can take and take off if desired. Now that I've come full circle in accepting my plantation design, I feel I can also make some longer, more comfortable cars for my new setup, which also allows passenger cars and more room and comfort for the passengers. I'll touch up on that in a later video. But for now, thanks for tuning in, and always keep steaming, with or without a tender.